Hi, so it seems like the whole world has gone on quarantine, and throughout this time, I think it's important to do things that are productive. So I'm gonna show you guys how I study my Korean during the quarantine and even during not the quarantine. Basically, I'm just gonna go through all the materials that I use and good methods of doing things differently, I guess, because after you get to a certain point, you're like, what do I do now? So I'm gonna show you the books that I use, the internet resources that I use, I have so many notebooks. So the notebooks that I write different things in, and even my iPad notes. So I'll just go through everything, and hopefully this will help you if you feel like studying during quarantine. So in this book is my old notes from Talk to Me in Korean. So when I first started studying Korean, I wrote down everything that Talk to Me in Korean had in their PDFs. And I made it as easy to understand as possible. So I used colors and it helped me a lot because it color coded everything. So next I have my journal that I bought like 2 years ago. Basically what I've been doing is I have been writing down the most common verbs and nouns. And so often what I would do is I would just go through it and I would highlight the things that I didn't know. So now going through it about a year or two later, what I'm doing is I'm highlighting the things that I still don't know and things that I do know. So if I put a check mark, that means I know it. And if I put a straight line, it's like I recognize it, but I've never really recalled it in a sentence. So this is basically to help me with understanding words and seeing if I understand things and to just get myself familiar with other words. So for example, I can write something and not actually register it in my head, but if I see it somewhere, I'll know, oh, I've seen that before, it's super familiar. And one of the most rewarding things is going through it and realizing that I know every single word on the page. So it's really nice to see after time how you can get better and learn more. And it's really cool to see that I know everything that I didn't know before. So next up is my Korean Made Easy workbook. I got this in Korea for about 19,000won, so around $15. I know that you can get this on Amazon, but I don't know how much it is on Amazon. But basically, with this book, you have a lot of, they teach you new grammar points, they give you questions, they give you conversations, and it's really helpful when you don't really know what to do. So it just gives you stuff, even if you've already studied it. It's really cool to just, go over it. Something that I find really helpful to do is things that I don't know or things that I find are important. I go into my little notebook and I rewrite it so that I can carry it around with me. So for example, these antonyms, I wrote them all down the same way it is in the book, but I try to not write too much in English. So for example, the sentences, I would not write the English translation because it would force me to have to understand the sentence. What I really like about this book is that it has the word web, so it helps you break down words and it helps a lot with vocabulary. Because it's breaking the words down, it helps you get the base and then the ending. And what really helps is that a lot of words in Korean use the similar bases and endings. So, for example, it teaches you the base of mu, and then it continues to go through a whole bunch of different things. On this page, we have Let's Talk. So the Let's Talk is the cool thing where you can use what you've learned and make your own sentences yourself. So what I do is I go into my big journal and I just write down small stuff. It might not even make sense. I might be messing around, but it really helps you create sentences and use the recall from what you learned in the last lesson to help push you along in your speaking abilities. Over here, we have new grammar points that it teaches you on the left, and often after it teaches you on the right page, you have a quiz yourself. So you can answer all the questions, and in the back there's answers, of course, but you don't check them until afterwards. So you do the questions and everything. For example, here I'm doing one question because I wanted to show you how it would look. So basically you have to fill it in with the grammar point that it teaches you on the first page. And then from there, if you're sure about your answer, you're sure. And if you're not sure, like me, you go to the end and it shows you the answers and you just check it, and if it's correct, you just put a check mark. In this gorgeous notebook, I have something that I don't really use anymore, but I used to. So in college, I wouldn't really have much to do, and I would just write down words using the website howtolearnkorean.com. I'm gonna put a little video as well too here of how to navigate through it. Basically, they have themed lessons that have specific vocabulary words on different subjects, and it really helps when you want to get your jargon correct. So if you want to speak a certain way, for example, if you want to talk about transportation, you can talk about transportation. If you want to talk about school, you can talk about school, and it's super helpful because it helps you understand words revolving around a specific subject, so you can get yourself in different conversations easily. Next, I have a little outline. So what I did was I tried to write myself a short story because I wanted to see how much I can actually think on my own. Basically, what I did is I looked up a prompt online in English and I translated it to Korean and wrote down my own little story too. Next, I recommend reading webtoons, even if you don't understand them, just to expose yourself to different situations and different words. One of my favorite ones is actually a drama now, 타이는 지옥이다. It's basically strangers, like people who live in a go시원 and they're like crazy, basically. I really like that drama. You should watch it and you should read the webtoon as well. Anyway, basically, you have the webtoon, you go through the episodes, the chapters really, and you just look through. There's a whole bunch of new words, a whole bunch of new situations that you might not be familiar with, and it really helps a lot to just read it and maybe write down a few things you don't understand. So I basically went through everything almost that I do, at least physically, because a lot of the time most of my studying that I do is just watching YouTube videos and following along. So what I recommend is like watching a YouTube video only in Korean and sometimes without English sub, same as dramas, so like dramas, music, YouTube, all of those things. I recommend watching them without any English sub, at least to just like get yourself into it, really, you know, like understanding intonation and pronunciation and everything, and even noticing certain things that they use at the end of their sentences or certain ways that they express something, you know. So it helps a lot. I guess I'll put some channels that I really like to watch in my description to recommend. But basically that's most of what I do here. I do this like every single day. So hopefully it helped. Thank you for watching. Stay safe. Don't catch the coronavirus. Stay home and study.